This is TWiT.
Everyone has priorities when it comes to smartphone features. Some phones are perfect for the battery obsessed. Some phones are ideal for mobile gaming aficionados. But which phone produces the best bokeh or bokeh shots? You know what I'm talking about. Those shots that resemble what you get from a DSLR, where the foreground is in focus and the background is blurred. Yeah, that feature. Well, I have 5 phones that are capable of these types of shots. We've got the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone 10, the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, the OnePlus 5T. All of those 4 phones have dual cameras on the back to make it happen. And then there's the Google Pixel 2 XL that uses its trusty artificial intelligence to calculate and produce the effect using a single camera. I put them all through their faces. See what I did there? So let's see how these phones compare by starting with some human subjects. First, we have Megan Moroney standing outside, and most phones got this shot pretty right in regards to background blur. The Pixel 2 XL does get a bit uneven, which is pretty common on this particular phone, considering its blur is entirely done with AI. All phones showed an in-focus sidewalk peeking between Megan's arm and side, and that right there is a big challenge for this kind of processing. Then we have Anthony Nielsen, producer of the new Screensavers. He's in our studio here checking his phone, as he does a lot. And I must say that all phones performed this shot pretty well. The iPhone 10 would be my pick for best here, but even the mid-tier OnePlus 5T handled this shot pretty accurately. Could be the solid lighting, could be luck, but I'd consider this shot a win for all devices in this roundup. This is Burke in his natural habitat, where he's often found wearing a motorcycle helmet. Translucent parts of the helmet can be a challenge, and none of the phones seem to do a perfect job around the edges of that visor. Each one has a hard time determining the edge of the visor and the background behind it, and this is very apparent along that bottom edge in front of Burke's eyes. And speaking of translucency, transparency, this shot here of a glass filled with ice cubes and water on a table is another tricky situation. Pretty much every phone struggled on this at the top edge of the glass, where it ultimately ends up looking kind of like a blurry mush. Every phone, that is, except for the Google Pixel 2 XL, which nailed it, but my eyes can't unsee that the right edge of the table is in focus, while the left edge of the table is totally blurred. No, thank you. And finally, this statue of Luke Skywalker placed in the same studio environment. The iPhone 10 and iPhone 8 both look pretty good, minus a few small spots of misplaced blur in the hair that you see there. The Pixel 2 XL looks pretty good here too, but I had a very hard time getting the camera to recognize the subject when trying to take a picture. It took me 3 or 4 shots to get it to process the blur you see. So if you've been keeping track, no portrait mode in this roundup comes out unscathed. The ones I'm usually most impressed with on social media seem to come from the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone 10, but even those phones were challenged here. The Pixel 2 XL does a pretty good job considering it's all based on software and no extra hardware. The Samsung Galaxy Note 8 can be hit or miss, but honestly, that camera is capable of some pretty awesome shots all around. And the OnePlus 5T, well, let's consider it a nice bonus that it has this feature, maybe not the one to use if this is your top priority. And that's not even taking into consideration the fact that some of these phones, the iPhone 10 has extra hardware on the front-facing camera. Also, the Google Pixel 2 XL can do front-facing portrait mode shots. We're going to save those maybe for another shootout. I'm Jason Howell, and you can catch me on All About Android and Tech News Weekly here on TWiT.tv.